first thing is, I'm going to have to do a presentation in English. My French is non-existent, so I'm afraid it's in English. Okay? I apologize if anybody is offended. Okay? Thank you for coming today. This is really, it's a work in progress, as you can see on site. And the work commenced in November last year on site, and this is about halfway through the length of the project. The timing is such that we are looking to open in September 2012. It's actually specified as the 27th of September 2012, and the point being halfway now, we thought it appropriate that you'd like to come to site to be able to go on site, to view the actual progress on site. But what we thought we'd do before we go there is to give you an explanation of where you would stand, what your view would be in terms of the planning, and then from there to give you some idea of what the images, via these images, what it would look like instead of just the concrete that you're going to see there in a few moments. Okay? Just so you get to understand, if I orientate these two plans, this is the lower level plan, and this is what we call the square level plan. The 20-foot road, as you all recognize, is along this line here with the existing traffic circle at this point here, and the existing traffic lights at that point over there. Okay? Access to the site is via 3 points of entry, 2 off the 20-foot road and 1 off the old Sotis road. Access is then gained directly into a lower level parking, which is on grade, and gives us, together with certain external parking, approximately 1,100 parking bays, 1,200 parking bays, available for shoppers, the offices, and the residential tenants. The square level sits directly over that as individual blocks, but the design is such that the parking underneath is in what you would call a super block. So we maximize the parking underneath and then divide it up into the individual components of the buildings above. Okay? The buildings above are basically designed around the heart of the center, which is the plaza, the piazza, the esplanade, square, whichever of those names eventually stick to that area. That is the heart of the development. And from there we span out with the commercial developments on this level, comprising the supermarket of approximately 6,700 square meters, the line shops at this level, the cinema entertainment situated above, which comprises 5 cinema units, just short of 900 seats. The commercial, in terms of the banking and finance, along this edge here. Fashion, starting on this edge here. Mr. Price, the fashion house, coming into these 2 zones here. And then into here where we have the high fashion, where we have the branded, recognized names of fashion, and then over on this edge here, another piazza with a food court attached. Okay? Each of these, as you can see, are linked by streets which are low friction traffic movement streets, mostly pedestrianized for people to use, and for the shops to then spread out onto these areas and utilize that space. This is not a traditional shopping center where your building is situated in a sea of parking where you then access. This is an urban building which is based on the principle of a city, a precinct, and from there the landowner, which is the owner of this development, has the potential to expand on all 4 sides as his development increases and grows. And what we found over several years of doing this kind of development is that the expansion builds its own life, and once that cycle starts, the critical mass increases all the time, and you begin to spill out as you require more and more development. To give you some facts and figures, as I say, there's approximately 1,200 parking bays. We have approximately 28,000, 29,000 square meters of retail. We have 7,500 square meters of offices. We have 64 RES apartments. We have a further, which we have just been instructed to begin the documentation for, for another 28 local apartment, duplex type apartments for sale to the market. So all of these are on the market and they're being purchased at the moment. The retail itself is obviously on a letting basis, and that letting stands in excess of 70%. It's closer to about 78% at the moment, which is let, and the remainder of those shops are actually being held back on the basis of, as people more and more see what is happening here, the interest and enthusiasm builds its own factor, and more people want to start coming. To give you some views as to what these things are, this first perspective is if you were standing in the square looking at the entrance into that cross-shaped mall. You can see there is the entrance into the mall. On each side of it there is the retail, and then beyond that, this is a pullback of that. You can see we have restaurants, fine dining, facing onto the square with specific shade trees, with umbrellas, with the seating activity both from the restaurant onto the terrace and then beyond that onto the square itself. This is the square, again looking at the RES. There are 2 blocks of RES apartments. They are mixtures between 2, 3 and 4 bedroom, and one of them, one party has already bought 3 units, which we're converting now into a 6-bedroom luxury apartment on the top floor. When you go there, we will walk from here. We're situated at the moment over here. We'll walk from here across to block 5 and 6, which is situated between these 2. We'll walk through where the mall will be and stand at this point here, so you can see then across to the whole of that, and you will be standing at that point there looking this way. So you'll be looking across the square. Unfortunately, that slab is still to be cast. It isn't on the critical path, which is what these are in terms of the construction program. The interior of these malls will look like such. The luxury apartments will have their own secure lobby entrances. Access will be security controlled, either card, fingerprint, face recognition, whatever it is. Access to the lifts and then up to your secure apartment. The pedestrian streets on each side, these 2 avenues that run through there and there, will be lined with retail on both sides, with then strong identification taking you, for example, that block there is a perspective looking at that entrance over there. And this is the other street on the other side, where you can see again we'll have light dining, casual coffee shop, light pastry food, being able to spill out onto the square where people can then walk along the street areas. We've taken certain of what we call the sub-anchors, the sub-majors, having got past the supermarket, Mr. Bricolage, Mr. Price, and the Star Group cinemas, those being the majors. We've now started looking at the sub-majors, and here what we've tried to do is to do the interior, for example, of a bookshop, that we could then say to the local Mauritian tenants, this is the quality you should be looking at trying to achieve. We've set a standard. We're building a building here which has got this modernistic view, and what we're looking for is the individual tenants to pick up on this and to be able to design the interior of their shop both to suit them but not to be out of character with the shopping centre itself. And you can see here, for example, within the volume space that we've got approximately 5.5 to 6 meters height in shops. We're saying to them there is enough height here to create a gallery, and a bookshop is a perfect user for a gallery, where we could do the upper level, where you could come, go upstairs, browse around specific areas, even sit up here and then look back. That entrance there is that same entrance over there. So you'll be able to look back into the square from both levels. And then from this area here is actually the entrance going up to the cinemas. And at the lower level, again, what we've tried to do is to position. We've done a very strong tenant mix, which we are insisting the leasing people follow. And what we're doing here is we're putting together the like-type tenants, which will go with entertainment, the bookshop, the CD shop, DVD shop, that kind of activity, putting them all together in clusters. so that they can learn then how to each parasite and trade off each other's customers. When you go to the movies, you come out, you like to buy the book, you want to listen to the music, you want to buy the DVD. All of it happens in that zone there. And that internal mall there is actually at that cross point of Block 2. Okay? The lower level here is the open boulevard, which links the Food Lovers Market, which is the new tenant, new sub-anchor tenant, which has recently been signed. Opposite Mr. Bricolage, which is on this side. That area here is the link that comes through that gap there. The purpose of that is that the bus routes which go along the 20-foot road, part of the 20-foot road has to be upgraded, including the provision for bus laybys to drop off their passengers and our customers, who can then walk along this open boulevard in, through and between Bricolage and the Food Lovers Market at the lower level, and then either up escalators or via a staircase to the square level situated at this point here. From the parking here, if you park underneath, your access way would be either by travelator, observation lifts, wide body trolley lifts, escalators, lifts to the apartment, lifts to the offices, and lifts to the local apartments through the area over there. And then finally, this one here is looking from the far side here towards the office building, which sits in that shape, an L shape, and then from the inside, the roof of what underneath here is Mr. Bricolage will in fact be a gardened area, so that all of these apartments can then come down and make use and share that open space facility. So you create a green area within the development for the individual office worker who can stay there. Okay? Apartment users, they will have their own access, as we explained, via these private lifts, private staircases, accessing to their own parking bays within a secure zone, then accessing from there via their cards or their secret numbers, and then out and onto the street. The whole purpose of this kind of development is that it has a 24-hour life. It is shopping, it is entertainment, it is leisure, it is living, it is working, it is everything happening within a controlled precinct zone. Okay? And that precinct zone can expand in the future at whatever time the developer decides the pressure is there, I need to build more. Okay? At the current moment, there are expansion possibilities. As I've explained, we've already been given, in fact we got it Monday, to proceed with that documentation. Okay? We are looking at this area here as being a sports, gym, tennis club activity, and that will also be constructed as part of what we are terming phase 1. Everything that we've shown you here and everything we've spoken about here is phase 1 and is all due for the opening of September 2012. Ongoing will be as demand requires. Okay? I don't know if there's any questions on that I can answer. Anybody? Any queries? From the construction point of view, those points there are where they are basically constructed. As you can see, this is the boardroom of the contractor. So it's got all of these to help him and then for us to have our meetings and see what progress is on site. Basically, if there's no other questions or no questions, then we could go from here to site and you can then see what's going on the site.
Excuse me, allow me one question. From what we see here, 10 pixels you're showing on the wall there, I don't see anything linked to the environment. What is your plan for the promotion of the environment in this area or adaptation to climate change? What is your plan?
Well, our engineers have worked very closely. Our engineers are